Good afternoon. Good afternoon. It's Leslie Gomez here. I am streaming live from Connecticut with our special guest, Christen Johnson. I'm going to have her introduce herself. Um, and if you are tuning in, send me a comment. And welcome to Blazers and Brilliance podcast. Now, this podcast was created for entrepreneurs and executives, and we talk about all things empowerment, branding, and business. So, if you would like to be a guest on this podcast, feel free to send me a direct message. Okay. So, welcome, Kristen. We have the amazing Christen Johnson, a Maryland-based personal stylist, and we'll welcoming her tonight. And Kristen, because this series is called the Who Am I podcast series, who are you? Tell us who you are.
So, hey y'all, thanks so much for having me, Leslie. I'm excited to be here. I absolutely love the title because I'm a blazer girl, so I had to throw my blazer on today for you. But other
Yes.
than that, I'm super excited. Y'all, my name is Christen Johnson. I'm the CEO and founder of SCB Luxury Styling, where I help aspiring, sophisticated women harmonize their inner beauty and their outer appearance, or harmonize it with their outer appearance. I call myself a style savant. I know personal styling is a part of what I do, but it's not everything. So, aside from curating capsule wardrobes, shopping for my clients, and helping them to feel good in the clothes that they wear, I also help them to determine their body shape, get comfy with talking about size, and really making sure that their mindset is where it needs to be so that they can show up confidently and really show up as the person that they were created to be. So I am from Baltimore, Maryland, born and raised. And styling is what I do. So I'm excited to be here, and I'll leave it at that because I know you have some good questions for me. So I want to answer everything.
No, no, no. That's amazing, and thank you for doing what you do because we as women can be very hard on ourselves, right?
Yeah.
And especially when we talk about weight gain. And as a personal brand photographer, I get that uh, reservation all the time.
Hmm.
And the first thing people say is, "Oh, I have to wait till I lose 10 pounds," or, you know. And I always counteract that with, "Now is the time," right?
Hmm.
No
Yeah.
one is buying your weight; they are buying your value, right?
Hmm.
So,
That's good.
how did you come up with the title Style Savant? What does that mean?
Yeah. So it's actually a new title that I changed within the last year. I was actually working with one of the many mentors that I've been blessed to have. And we were just talking through business and trying to figure out like what my next thing was. And I was just probably complaining to her about some of the things that I deal with consistently when it comes to being a business owner. And she
Mhm.
mentioned, maybe it's time for you to change your name. You've had the same name for most of your career. I've been styling for 11 years this year. And for 10 or 9 years of that, I've been a personal stylist.
Wow.
So it's hard, pivoting and rebranding yourself and showing up as someone different, but still someone that's you. So
Yes.
she came up with the name. We went through a whole list of names, and Style Savant stuck out to me. I didn't know what the name Savant even meant, but it's literally just being an expert in whatever you do, being super experienced in whatever you do. So anybody can be a savant, but of course, I'm a style savant in the industry of fashion and the industry of style. So it's just another name to me as being an expert in my industry. And I wanted people to know. I mean, everybody who knows me knows I'm professional and I'm an expert. But for those individuals who've never met me before, for those people who are maybe meeting me for the first time, I want them to know that I know what I'm talking about. So my confidence now aligns with my name, Style Savant.
I like you sharing that new word because even I had to ask, what does savant mean? But listen, with the word demure that's going around on the internet, it's giving us meaning and getting us comfortable with a new word that we
Yeah.
may not have known what that meant. So thank you for sharing that
Mhm.
with us. So, how did you begin your personal stylist journey?
Yeah. So I actually started off as a blogger. I was in college. This was 2013. I'm probably telling my age. But
Mhm.
I started off as a blogger because I wanted my own platform. I wanted a place where I could share what I was doing, all things fashion, all things style. And to me, creating a blog at the time just made sense. I loved writing, I loved talking. So it just made sense for me. At the time, I probably had Instagram for about a year. So
Mhm.
Instagram wasn't always around, y'all. Like for those of you who may be millennials or younger, the generation after that, I didn't forgot what they're called at this point. But those individuals who are younger, I feel like they assume that social media has always been a thing and it hasn't been. So for me, I was 1 year into Instagram and I wanted another space that I could call my own. So I started that blog and it snowballed into me becoming a stylist. At the time in 2014, I didn't really know what type of stylist I wanted to be. So I just kind of fell into what I thought styling was. I had some friends who were stylists. They were doing editorial styling, styling a lot of models, doing a lot of like editorial ish photo shoots. So that's what I did. And for 3 years, I conformed to what I thought styling was. And I tried to make it work for me and it did not work. It just was not my thing. And it took me a while to realize that. And after I had that realization, I ended up getting a job, my first big girl job, as a stylist at a brand called Trunk Club. They were partnered at the time with Nordstrom and they offered personal styling to men. And I didn't really like styling men, but I knew that this job was going to give me one, the experience, and two, an opportunity to grow. And of
Mhm.
course, it was a paid job. So I took it.
Yeah, yeah.
And from there, we worked with men, and then it gravitated into also working with women as well. So that's when I really got excited because I knew for a fact that I wanted to work with women and be a personal stylist to women. So to give you an idea of who Trunk Club's audience was at the time, we were located in DC. So that's about an hour away from Baltimore if you're not familiar. And professionals, DC executives, entrepreneurs, that's where they are for most of the DMV area. So that's who I was working with. And I pretty much stuck with that audience for my entire career. I really enjoyed working with the everyday person. I felt like I could relate to them. I felt like they understood what I was doing for the most part, and they were
Mhm.
open to the process. So I've been in personal styling ever since, although I've pivoted and made some changes in my business. Now I can say that I'm a style savant, but I'm still like in that personal styling realm, working with everyday women and really helping women to feel confident every single day with whatever they're wearing. So that is kind of how I got here. Just a little snippet.
Well, thank you for sharing that with us. But not even but. Um, I feel like people think that personal styling is for, you know what, I'm going to save that because I feel like it's a myth that
Okay.
it's for, I don't want to say like rich or wealthy people, but
Mhm.
I feel like that it can be for anyone who's willing to invest, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So you said you like to, let's talk about who your audience is, and you touched upon
Mhm.
it briefly. And as a personal brand photographer, I work with a lot of executives, and I want to say 80%, 85% of my clients are executive women,
Mhm.
um, and the rest could be entrepreneurs. And when I found you, Kristen, the reason I gravitated to you was you were showing up like every day, or every time I scroll through LinkedIn, I saw you. And it was not until recently I said, let me see where Kristen is located. And when I saw that you were in Baltimore and my daughter lives in Baltimore, I kind of got excited. So I was like, I'm hoping that one day that we'll be able to collaborate on a photo shoot or something like that. However, Why do you believe your service is necessary for women or
That's a good
men?
Yeah, that's a good question. Because I feel like when I first started styling, I mean, I always thought fashion was important. I always thought style was important. But when I first started, I felt like people didn't feel the same. And still to this day, I know that some individuals do not feel that same way, and that's fine. But for me, style is important because it literally got me here. I wasn't always the best person in the room. I wasn't always, the smartest person in the room. I wasn't always the person, doing all of these things to get noticed. But I will say, style has always been my thing. And people always paid attention to me because of that. And because of that, I was able to get into different rooms. I was able to get certain opportunities. I was able to be just put on in certain areas and certain spaces and places because I always showed up in this type of way. And that's always something that I've prided myself on, if that's the right word, because for me it comes easy. Like dressing, putting together a nice outfit, it's been something I've been doing since the third grade. So I'm not new to this. I'm true to this. I live and breathe fashion and style. So when I see women who, aren't confident, when I see women who don't feel like fashion is important, or when I see women who feel like they need to look like everybody else or need to hide under their clothes because they just aren't confident or they don't love themselves, it frustrates me. And that's one of the main reasons why I even got into personal styling. Because to me, it's easy. To me, it's easy to just throw on a cute top, a cute bottom, and a jacket. Like that comes natural for me. But I noticed that it didn't come natural for everybody else, or at
It
least the
does
person
not.
I was working with. And that's perfectly fine because that's why I'm doing what I do. So I'm really passionate about doing that. And I know for me, it really changed the game, just like looking the part and dressing the part. And it also helped to increase my confidence. I wasn't always as confident as I am now. I really started to grow my confidence the more I was on my own and like forced to do things on my own. So that started in college. And then graduating, it started in my first big girl job. And then owning my own business, being on platforms like this. Like I wasn't always the most confident to talk and share my story. But I will say the more that I did it and the more that I pushed myself out there, the more I got more confident in myself and my capabilities. So it's really also too a matter of believing in yourself. I feel like a lot of people don't value themselves anymore. They don't believe that they can do things. And to me, that all ties into how you're showing up. If you don't feel like being somewhere, or if you don't believe that you can secure a client, you're not going to dress like it. So it starts with that belief, it starts with that mindset, like I was talking about earlier. And that's something that I had to change about myself too, my mindset. Like that's a huge thing. And I'm sure you're going to ask questions about that too, but I will hopefully I answered your question. I kind of forgot what the question was,
Yeah,
but yeah, that's all I
yes.
wanted to add to that.
It, the question was, why do you believe your service is necessary? And you did answer the question. Um, but not even but I keep on saying but I don't really mean but. What I want to say is that in my line of work, it's hard for a lot of women. So I want to just kind of echo what you said about it. It's easy for you, but it's hard for a lot of women
Yeah.
to be confident in their clothing because I feel like the Instagram and the social media is high on body shaming or what everyone should look like, that Barbie
Mhm.
shape, and people really moving away from just loving what their body shape is and just finding
Yeah.
clothes that make them feel and look good.
Mhm.
So I run into that a lot when I'm working with women. That's another reservation that they have. Well, what am I going to wear? I don't know what to wear. And another a reservation or a problem is people want to change their style, but they just don't know how to move into that direction of
Mhm.
changing their style. They have a vision
Yeah.
and a visual in their head, but one, they they're afraid because of what other people are going to say
Mm.
about. what their key style is, um, and what their key style is, and one just not knowing what to wear. So my
Yeah.
next question is, how can someone begin to embrace their body shape, especially if they struggle with body image issues?
Yeah. I mean, I actually had I went live earlier and we kind of talked about some of what we're talking about today. And I think it's a very important conversation to have. So I'm glad that you're asking me this. So I know for me and how I work with my clients, I'm very honest, I'm very transparent. And I say that to say because I feel like when it comes to fashion and when it comes to style and just body image in general, I feel like people kind of tiptoe around the conversation because they don't really want to have it or it makes them feel uncomfortable. But in order for you to be
Right,
comfortable, you have to be uncomfortable. You have to talk about the
right,
things that make you feel uncomfortable so that you can be comfortable with it. So one of the things that I always say when I'm working with my clients for the first time, and just not even the first time, but always, is that your body was meant to change. It was never meant to stay the same. So that's one thing that I think everybody has to understand and just digest before we hop into anything else. There is not one person who I know who has been the same size their entire life. That's
yes,
impossible. Like, especially for us women,
yes,
like we have kids, we lose weight, we gain weight. Sometimes we're stressed, sometimes we're going through things. So our bodies change when
mhm,
we, go through different transitions. So it's important to realize
mhm,
that your body was never supposed to stay the same. Now, when it begins to change, and instead of being or making it a negative thing, like or making yourself feel like, oh, I'm now larger than what I used to be, it's okay. I feel like many women complain about their bodies looking a certain way and they do absolutely nothing about it. Absolutely nothing. So you're literally just complaining and not doing anything. What do
mhm,
you think is going to change? Nothing. So that's another thing. If you feel like you want to look a certain way, or if you feel like you want your body to be a certain size, do something about it. Change your diet, exercise. And I know it's easier said than done. I'm not saying it's super easy, but it's something for you to do to make that change. And I feel like once you start moving in that direction, I know I try to work out at least 3 to 4 times a week. It doesn't always happen. I give myself grace, but that's what we all have to learn to do, give ourselves grace. Some weeks we may not be able to work out, and that's fine. But maybe we can focus on what we're eating that week and maybe eat more veggies or eat more protein or whatever it is that is needed. But I think it's super important to know that we may not love every single part of our body, but consider what we can do with what we have. So going to the gym, working out, changing our eating habits, and all of those things. But I truly believe you're beautiful no matter what size you are, as long as you're healthy and as long
absolutely,
as you feel good. You don't have to be super skinny. You don't have to be super thick. Like, I'm not super thick, but I'm also not super skinny either.
right,
So, I just learned to love my body over time. And you can do that by, giving yourself some time to love on yourself, but also surrounding yourself with people who don't care about any of that. They love
right.
you for who you
Who you
are
are,
and not for
absolutely.
what your size is. So that's definitely a conversation that I always have with my clients. And now that I'm having with you guys today.
Thank you for that. In your experience, and you kind of touched about upon this a little bit, how does understanding, because that's the key word, understanding and embracing your body shape contribute to your confidence in your personal brand?
So for me, as a stylist, from a stylist perspective, I truly can't serve you and provide you with the solution that you're looking for if I don't know your body shape and if I don't know your measurements. So honestly, I'm doing it for me to start off. But secondly, I'm doing it for you so that once we finish working together or once we, finish up our time together, you're then able to take what you've learned and move forward. So you don't always feel like you need to work with the stylist, although I want you to come back. I want you to work with me as many times as possible. But I want my mission is to one shift everybody's perspective when it comes to style and fashion. So I want to shift everybody's perspective and give them a new perspective, a fresh perspective on what style can look like for them. But also too, I'm really big on educating. So I want to educate women so that they know like what size they are, if their body changes, what to do, what types of fabrics to gravitate towards, what types of brands like best serve them, because not every brand works for everybody and every brand is cut differently.
Right.
So this educational piece will give people the tools that they need to move forward and move in the right direction without having me there at all times. So I say that to say, knowing your body shape and knowing your proportions and knowing what fits you will help you to choose styles that best flatter your shape. So that way you can show up at your brand photo shoot. You can show up at work every day. You can show up for that client. When you feel good, well, when you look good, you feel good. And that's a real thing. Like I know people say that it's very cliche, but it actually does work. I know if I'm dressed and I look good, I'm able to properly serve the people that I was created to serve. So if you're not taking care of yourself and doing what you need to do for yourself, you're hurting other people because there are other people that's waiting on you. There are other people that you are meant to serve,
Absolutely.
and you can't like do all the things that you need to do for them if you aren't good and on your end. So think about the other people. Don't just think about doing this for yourself. I think it's important to do this for yourself. I think it's important to invest in yourself, but once you do that, think about the people who are going to be affected by you if you don't show up and if you don't do the things that you're supposed to do. So I hope that answers your question.
That does. And I like the way that how you stated that it's not always about you. It's really, especially if you're a business owner or entrepreneur,
Yeah.
it's 95%, 99% not about you. It's about the the audience that you're serving.
Hmm.
And um, speaking of which, personal styling is always considered for photo shoots. But what other reasons would a personal stylist be of help to a woman or a man?
Yeah. So some of the women that I work with, they're in a transitional phase. So they are either having fit challenges or struggling to dress their body. They're transitioning to a new career or a new job. They're transitioning to a new role, or maybe they just got promoted. Or maybe the business owners out there, you're rebranding and you're wanting more clients. You're wanting a different type of client. You're wanting to refresh your business or your brand. And I know for me, I've rebranded at this point probably 3 or 4 times. But I
Yes.
mean, I think it's important to say like it's okay to rebrand yourself every couple of years. One, you're a different person. You probably look different. You probably think different. You're older. We age every single year. So things about
Mhm.
us change. So, in order for
Absolutely.
you to showcase that change, you may want to work with the stylist to get a different perspective or to just get a refresh on what you already have. And I do want to say that sometimes I feel like, and we talked about some of those myths, but one of the biggest myths that I feel like um, at least that I've experienced throughout my career, sometimes people get offended when you suggest them to hire a stylist, or people think like, oh, I can dress myself, which is great. Nobody's saying you can't dress if you work with a stylist. That's not what I'm saying at all. But what I'm saying is the point of working with an expert is so that, like I was saying, you could get a fresh perspective on what you could be wearing. Most of us have been our
Mhm.
own stylists for our entire lives. So
Yeah.
it's we dress ourselves a certain way and we see ourselves a certain way. But when someone else comes in that's biased, that if I'm using the right word, I don't know if it's unbiased or biased, but someone who
Mhm.
doesn't know you comes in and gives you a fresh like perspective on what you can be wearing, it really enlightens you. It makes you feel good. Like, oh, I would have never thought, to put those two pieces together. I would have never thought to even wear this color. Like I didn't even think I liked the color green, but now I love it. So
Yes.
that's the whole point of hiring someone and, just investing in someone who is an expert in whatever it is that you're looking for. That could be a personal trainer, a nail tech, a hairstylist. I feel like I'm in the same line as that because everybody gets their hair done, everybody gets their nails done, everybody either has a personal trainer or goes to a gym. So
Mhm.
if you can invest in that, you can also invest in a stylist who will help you to also look good on the outside too when it comes to your clothes and style.
Thank you. Yeah, I totally agree on perspective, and I could only relate to that when I'm working as, as a photographer, and people visualize themselves in a way, but when they visualize themselves through my lens and the way that I might position them or
Mhm.
angle them, or they're like, "Oh my God, I look awesome," or "Is that me?" Usually, that's what
Yeah.
I get. So perspective is different when you aren't able to form your own perspective or just looking for a fresh perspective. There's experts out here that will help you. There are expert photographers, there are expert
Mhm.
stylists, there are expert makeup artists. Go find the expert if you're
Yeah.
looking for something specific and you're unable to really achieve it on your own.
Yes.
So I know you've been doing personal styling for many years. Can you share like a success story of a client who you helped transform their confidence by helping them to embrace their unique body shape through styling?
Yeah, I mean, the first client that popped up in my mind is a recent client I've been working with. Her name's Kishana. I don't know if she's listening, but
Hey,
she was
Kishana.
awesome to work with.
Mhm.
Hey, Kishana, if you're listening. But she was awesome to work with. She came in and she was very honest about, working with the stylist for the first time, not really knowing, how this experience was going to go for her and how she has definitely had some different limiting beliefs that she's picked up about her body, that she's picked up about how she's dressing, and all the things. She's a plus size woman, and also she's a tall woman. So
Mhm.
those are two things that I feel like a lot of women feel uncomfortable about at times. So I definitely made sure that we spent time getting to know one another because that's what this experience is all about. It's
Yes,
about
yes,
relationship building. I need to
yes,
know you in order for me to serve you. So
absolutely.
we got time learning about each other, but also I gave her an opportunity to do some work on her own. So I give all of my clients pre-work before we even start working together. They receive pre-work. And those are journaling prompts, those are little exercises that I encourage you to do on your own so that you can get a better understanding of like what some of your problems are and or your preferences and why you feel the way that you feel about your body or about your style. And that pre-work definitely helped her to shift what she thought about herself. And although the shift doesn't always come right away, it's definitely a process. My experience is 8 weeks. So it took us 8 weeks to do a ton of things. And it didn't even feel like that was enough time. I felt like I could have spent more time with her and she felt the same. But she truly appreciated all the time that was taken to really understand like what she liked, what she didn't like, why she didn't like something, and really just talking through some of those things. So we finished out the experience with the brand photo shoot. And with that, I was able to, of course, curate a wardrobe for her. And obviously, we used some of those pieces from the wardrobe in the photo shoot. So she felt good because there were pieces in that shoot that she wore that she, one, would have never picked out for herself.
Right.
Two, would have never even thought to put the colors together. All of the colors truly aligned with her personality and her brand.
Yes.
And then three, she was able to, just really learn more about her body, what silhouettes look good on her, what doesn't, what length her pants should be with her being 5'10". So really thinking about the little things that to me are things that I'm always thinking about, but to the average person, they're not thinking about it. They're not
No.
thinking about their inseam. They're not thinking about their waist measurement or like what color pants would look best with that top. So that's what I mean about the educational piece. So, needless to say, she had a really great experience. Her photos came out beautifully. I'll actually be sharing them later this week. So, definitely stay tuned for that. But I just appreciate working with women who allow me to do my job and are still very honest with me about how they feel. This experience is not about being afraid to say how you feel or being afraid to give feedback because you think I may get upset. These clothes are not my clothes. These clothes are for
Right.
you. And if you don't like something, definitely make sure that you speak up about it. But also understand that I'm going to ask you why. Like, you cannot like something all day, but there has to be a reason behind why you don't like it. And that's important for me to know so that moving forward, I won't choose anything that is similar to the reason why you don't like that item. So it all steers back to why, like why you feel the way you feel about your body. Why don't you like certain things? Why don't you want to wear certain things? Why don't you want to show certain parts of your body? All of those questions and conversations are had within that styling experience. So yeah.
So it's one thing that I can say that we do alike, and I do a lot of pre work. And I think the pre work is so important when working with clients to get a gist of one is how are they feeling now, and also to be able to understand when the transformation happens. Because,
Hmm.
as experts in styling and experts in photography, and as a brand photographer and a brand strategist, transformation is important for me, right?
Yeah.
And helping people to understand why they feel the way they feel versus how do they want to feel or how do they want to look. So,
Hmm.
pre work, I love that you say that you take the time to get to know. I am not that photographer that kind of just says, "Oh, you contact me for a consultation, and then oh, we're doing the photo shoot the following week or within that same week." We are actually working together for at least 4 to 6 weeks to get that vision down pat, right? Because you have
Hmm.
a vision, and it's my responsibility to help that vision come to life. So,
Hmm.
thank you for taking the time to get and to know your clients, what they like, what they don't like, and being able to, that helps us to better serve the client and
Yeah.
and be able to celebrate that transformation at the end.
Hmm. I love that. And I love that you pointed that out because I feel like a lot of people wait until the last minute to hire a stylist.
They do.
Sometimes even a photographer. It's like, oh,
Yeah.
I want to do a shoot this week. Are you available? It's like, no. I mean, I might be, but
Yeah,
there's a
but
lot that goes into doing all of that. Like, I don't just pick up a camera and take pictures or just run to the store and pick up an outfit. Like, that's not how this works. And I feel like that is one of the myths about working with creative experts. Like, we just
mhm,
have things like sitting around and we're just waiting around for people to call us or send us an email to inquire. And that's not how that works. This is an entire experience that you're investing in, and
experience.
it's an investment. So
Absolutely.
you should want to be able to take your time when working with us as experts because, again, we're trying to transform your life. That's the goal. So I
Yes.
can't transform your life in 2 days. Like, I mean, I might
No,
be able to, but it doesn't feel right for me.
it doesn't
So,
feel right for me either. And I always forget words because it's late in the evening. But I wanted to say something to the fact of, hold on a minute here. Uh,
take your time.
It'll come back to me. Let me just move on um, to the next question, which is, what are some key elements of style that can help someone make a strong first impression and exude confidence in the room?
Yeah, so I always like to say fit. That is my number one key element. Your clothes need to fit you. And I think it probably sounds crazy, like, well, duh, Kristen, like your clothes should fit. Yeah, your clothes should fit, but there are so many women who I come into contact with whose clothing does not fit them well.
Yes.
And when
Yes.
your clothes are either too big or too small, one, it makes you uncomfortable because you always have to keep fixing your clothes. But
Hmm.
two, you just don't look the part when your clothes
Hmm.
don't fit. And don't get me wrong, I understand like the oversized fit and like, things aren't supposed to always fit perfectly tailored. I completely
Yeah.
understand that. But depending on what type of item the person has on and how it's styled, you can kind of tell what direction they were trying to go into. And
Hmm.
if it doesn't go in that direction, it is just not a good look. So
Hmm.
fit is very important to me. I think another easy way to like draw people in is accessorizing. You can
Yes.
easily put on a blazer, you can easily put on a pair of pants and a shirt. But when you have on a nice earring, or if you wear glasses, or even a nice necklace or ring, it really ties everything together. And it's interesting because I do not wear a ton of jewelry. Literally, I just wear earrings, a necklace, a small little bracelet. Like my jewelry is very dainty, but I'm still wearing something. So don't feel like you have to wear like a statement earring or a statement necklace all the time. I love a statement, earring and necklace, but sometimes I don't feel like doing that. So I want to
Yeah.
keep it toned down. But as long as you have something on to really elevate your look, that is very helpful. So fit, accessorizing. The last thing I would say is color. So color and texture, I'll put those together. Color, texture, and print. I'll put those together because I feel like those are important. I love color. I'm tired of
I do
wearing
too.
black. I'm sick of black. I really don't have a ton of black in my wardrobe. I probably need at least one or two things. But
Hmm.
other than that, I've always been a colorful girl.
Me
And
too.
even if I'm wearing white, like white is a nice color to me.
Oh,
So I just feel like playing around with color. Yeah, white is a color too, y'all. Ivory, all the things. Playing around with color is always something that I love to do. And you can mix it and match it with your neutrals. You don't have to wear a whole bright color. I have on two neutrals right now, white and navy blue. But because I have a print here, I have some details, it really just adds to it. So when people see that, they're attracted to whatever they see. Like it brings the eye in, a print, a fun color. So those are easy ways to really just elevate your style and get people excited to want to come talk to you, to want to come meet you. And I feel like when you have on a nice fun color or just texture and print in general, it makes you inviting. So people are excited to see you when you walk through the room. They're probably like, "Oh, you might be the only person in some color and print. Everybody else is in neutrals, looking boring." So
right.
definitely don't be afraid to step it up a bit and just play around with your colors and prints.
I have to echo that. I have to echo that. I have to echo that because I'm a woman of color and well, literally a woman of color,
Yeah.
but I love color. And anybody that knows me knows that my lipstick, you will probably
Mhm.
rarely find me in a nude lipstick. It'll be a pink, orange, red, purple lipstick. And then my clothes, I'm always having a bright color. And when it comes to textures, I love wearing different textures.
Yes.
Um, and I must agree that people are excited to see you when you wear colors. So when I work with women in the photography space, most of them, because they're coming from an executive space or trying to elevate their executive presence, they will come in with blues, navies, grays. And I'm like, hey, you want to stand out. You want people to stop and scroll
Right.
and say, who is that lady or woman
Hmm.
or leader or whoever, or however you want to be called? That's where you stop the scroll because when you fit in with everybody else, people have to dig through to find you.
Yeah.
So that is
Yeah.
one of the reasons why I encourage women to wear color, to wear
Yeah.
accessories, right? I always talk about corporate, I call it corporate identity theft because it
Mm.
mutes who you are and
That's a
who you
real
want
thing.
to be.
Yeah.
And so thank you for again, textures at work are fine, colors at work are fine,
Hmm.
accessories at work are fine. Just know that your style defines who you are and kind of separate help us to define who you are as a personal brand. So don't
Yeah.
be afraid of walking in your authentic style, which leads to the next question. is how do you help your clients to transform their confidence? Nope, nope, nope. How do you help your clients navigate the balance between following fashion trends versus staying true to their authentic style?
Yeah, so I feel like that starts with me. I hate trends. I don't like feeling like I have homework when it comes to fashion, meaning I have to sit down and research and look at what everybody else is wearing in order for me to decide what I'm going to wear. Like, I don't like doing that. I honestly haven't really followed the trend since I was in middle school. And that
Mm-hmm.
was back when, we wanted everybody to, all of our friends were wearing the same
Yep.
things. We wanted to all fit in. So that's what we did for fun as kids. So I feel like now following trends to me is personally is just, it reminds me of being a child. Like I'm childlike if I'm following
Yeah.
trends.
Yes.
That's just my perspective. I'm not knocking anybody who follows trends. But for me, I've always wanted to stand out. I've always wanted to be different, and that doesn't mean I'm wearing these crazy outfits. I'm still very much on trend with what I'm wearing, which is interesting because I'm not wearing any trends. Like I just look the part and I know what works best for me and my body. And that leads me to saying this, like, you know what works for you when you're comfortable and when you're confident and when it flatters your shape. Now, there are some pieces of clothing out there that will always be on trend. So that's what I
Mm-hmm.
gravitate towards. Those
Yes.
classic staples, the
Yes.
blazer, the pair of
Yeah.
jeans, a nice pair of slacks, a sleeveless top, a turtleneck. Like those things will always be on trend no matter what. So that's
Mm-hmm.
what I gravitate towards. Now, once I have those foundational pieces, me and my client, once we have those foundational pieces, then you can kind of branch out and start playing around with trends if that's something you want to do. But for me, if I'm going to follow a trend, I'm only going to go with trends that I know look good on me and that I know I like and that I would not mind wearing once the trend is over.
Right.
So I think that's something that people should consider and should think about. If you are going to follow trends, get something that you can wear in a variety of ways. You can style it in a variety of ways, and something that you feel like, okay, if everybody stopped wearing this, I'm still going to wear it because I like it. I don't care what
Right.
everybody else is saying.
Right. I
And that's
agree.
how it is. I know for fashion, a lot of these trends repeat themselves. So sometimes I look in my closet and I'm like, oh, these cargo pants. Like I've had these since college and
Yeah.
now they're trending. And it's
Yeah.
like, okay, I've been wearing cargo pants for forever. Like the trend doesn't phase me. But it's interesting to see, like, I don't know if it's just because I'm a stylist, but it's just interesting to see how, some of what I have in my wardrobe, even for my clients, even it literally is it can become a trend randomly and just
Yes.
repeats itself.
Yes.
So that's something to pay attention to too, because you may like something that was on trend years ago and you still love it. Hold on to it because it might actually come back in style. But even if it doesn't, you know that you still love the item regardless. So yeah.
I must agree with that because I have some pieces or just some pieces of clothing that I've had for years that come from like stores like Banana Republic and Express. And these pieces, I just found some winter pants in two different colors that I had before my son was born. He's 19 years old. That I
Mhm.
would still take out my closet and rock today.
Yeah.
So I know we're winding down on time, so I want to ask if you see me looking to the right, I'm looking at my screen because I can't really reposition it, so I don't want to think I'm weird or anything.
You're
But
fine.
what are some myths? We talked about myths. We were going to come back to this, but
Mhm.
what are some myths or misconceptions about personal styling that you often encounter, and how do you address them with your clients?
Yeah. It's so many. Like I could write a book about how many. I probably should write a book.
I was just going to say, if you could say you could write a book about it, you better do it.
Yeah. I'd never even thought about doing that until just now. So thank you,
Right.
Leslie.
Yes.
But some of the myths that I hear often, one of them that you mentioned earlier was feeling like you have to lose weight before hiring a stylist. And when it comes to that, like similar to what you said, I always say, worry about what your body looks like now. Because just like curating a wardrobe is a process, losing weight is a process too. And I don't know anyone that has lost 100 pounds in 2 days, like, or even a week, or maybe even a month. Like, people need time to lose weight. Everybody's body is different. Everybody loses weight differently. Everybody loses weight in different parts of their bodies.
Yes.
So I think it's important to consider that and just to know, like, okay, you might be on a journey of losing weight. Great. But if the pants you love don't fit you right now, maybe get them in another size that does. And then when you do get to the weight that you want to be at, get them tailored. I'm really big on getting clothes tailored to fit you.
Right.
And I think it's important to know that when you purchase clothes right off the rack, especially for us women, not everything is going to fit perfectly. Sometimes the 6 is too small, and sometimes the 8 is too big. So it's like you're stuck right in between, which I know a lot of people
Yes.
can relate to when it comes to sizing. So maybe get the 8 and get it tailored down to fit you perfectly. Maybe get whatever size you need and get it tailored down to fit you perfectly. And nobody's saying that you have to like reconstruct the entire item. Most times it's just a matter of hemming the pant leg and just cinching in the waist and maybe cinching in the hips, and that's it. If you feel like you have to deconstruct an entire item in order for it to fit you, then that item probably isn't for you, and that's okay. We can move on to something different. But that would be my number one myth. Another one is the money aspect of it. People feel like they can't afford a stylist, or they feel like they can't afford the clothes. But then I turn around and see them traveling or like going on all these trips. And it's like, oh, so you can pay for that, which is awesome. But you don't truly see the need to invest in a stylist. Okay, there's a disconnect here because we get dressed every day. So you know you need clothes. Now you feel like you don't need a stylist. You feel like clothes are a little important, obviously. So instead of investing in someone who can help you to make the right decisions, you continue to make the wrong decisions on your own. And when I say wrong decisions, I mean buying cheap clothes, buying a bunch of cheap clothes that won't last you long, buying clothes that don't fit you, buying clothes that you're only going to wear once, and just being wasteful. At that point, it actually is costing you more to not invest in a stylist than it is to actually invest in one. So I hope I'm making sense, and
Yes.
I hope y'all are
Yes. You
keeping up with
actually
me.
are.
But that's a misconception. It's like, oh, I can't afford it. Well, actually, you can. You may have to move some things around, or you may have to cut out some other things in order to make it work. Or maybe you just have to switch up your perspective about what a stylist can do for you, so you'll understand the investment and how important it is to, invest in yourself. Because this isn't about just having a stylist, it's about having the confidence that you want to go for that new job, or to pitch to that new client, or to speak on that stage. It's about the confidence. It's about the result that you're going to receive after working with me. It's not really about working with me. It's about the results, the transformation that you're going to get after working with me. That's what you're paying for. And that can at times be priceless. Like, you can spend a ton of money on that. But the reason why I feel like a lot of people struggle with hiring a stylist is because of the weight. They feel like they need to lose weight,
Yes.
and or they just feel like it's not important enough for them to invest in. But like I said a million times before, how you show up is important. So I don't really know, how else to encourage you to invest in a stylist, but that's just what it is. It's just like any other expert that you would invest in. So hopefully that answers your question.
And I just want to repeat, your weight has nothing
Nothing at
to
all.
do with the value that you're giving, that the people are looking for you to show up as.
Yeah.
Like, it has nothing to do with it. They're not looking for that. They're looking for the value, and your expertise. So,
Yeah.
with that being said, Kristen, tell me three takeaways that our audience can take away with them today.
Yeah, so I'll start with making sure that you take your measurements every quarter. So for my ladies who fluctuate, your weight fluctuates, or you haven't taken your measurements ever, or maybe it's been a while since you've taken your measurements and some of the clothes in your wardrobe don't fit you the way that you want them to, that means it's time to reassess your body. So take your measurements and understand what size that you are so you can start making the right choices when you're shopping, intentional choices when you're shopping. That's something I always say to myself, or not myself per se, but my clients. And I would say take your measurements every quarter. So when you do that every quarter, the season changes every quarter, the transition changes every quarter, or transition happens. So every quarter, take your measurements. Another thing I would say is cleanse your wardrobe too. Don't hold on to things that no longer suit your body. Don't hold on to things that you have not worn within the past 6 months. Just don't get rid of it. There are other people out there that could wear it if it still has a tag on it. There are other people who would appreciate those pieces. Don't just throw them away. You can sell them. You can get some money from them. Poshmark, Depop, all the things. Thread Up, I think they take clothes too. You can donate them. It's other people who actually need clothes and they don't have the resources to get them. So when you donate your clothes, people who actually need them could put them to good use. So don't throw them away. We want to make sure that the right people are getting them. And that would be it. My two biggest takeaways would be that. Oh, and to hire a stylist as well.
Perfect. Um, just one. You said take your measurements. That
Mhm.
sounds very easy to you, but where can these women go to get their measurements taken if they're not comfortable with taking it themselves?
Yeah, so I know department stores like Nordstrom take them, but honestly, you can just get the body shape Bible. I feel like when you have your measurements and you take them on your own, it just gives you a better understanding of how your body is proportioned. Or if you hire a stylist that can take them. But it's other places like department stores. I feel like
Hmm.
your Victoria's Secrets, but I don't
Hmm.
like promoting those places because they don't really emphasize the importance of knowing your shape or knowing your body. They're just
Yeah.
taking your measurements because that's what they're there to do. So I have an ebook called The Body Shape Bible, which helps you to, well, shows you one, how to take your measurements in just 3 easy steps, but also it shows you what body shape you are. So once you take your measurements, there's some instructions in there that show you how to determine your body ratio. And when you get your body ratio, you can then scroll through to see what body shape you are. So I didn't mention this, but I recreated my own list of body shapes for women because I noticed that many women did not like being called bananas or rectangles or squares. So I made them a lot more digestible for us. They are diamond cuts. So women, diamonds are a woman's best friend. So
Yes.
really, no matter what shape that you are, you will feel confident and you'll feel beautiful no matter what. So when you get the body shape Bible, you can learn how to take your measurements in 3 steps. You can determine your body shape, and there's a list of styles that best flatter your shape from experience that I have that I will make suggestions for you for. So it's a whole list there. So that is what I would recommend you to do. And there's a link in there for you to grab measuring tape because every woman needs measuring tape. And I'm not talking about the one where you are doing construction work. I'm talking about the bendy measuring tape. I should have brought it in here to show y'all, but that is something that you need always. So you can consistently take your measurements every quarter. Now, I just do those 3 measurements, but there are a ton of measurements you can take. But yeah, that is what I would suggest.
Thank you so much, Kristen. It was a pleasure. Thank you for the tips. Thank you for the insights that we can take away with us going forward. For the women who are not sure, still not sure on how to transform their personal style or want to transform or want to buy clothes that fit them, that make them feel good and look good, contact Christen Johnson. And how can the audience reach you? And how can they get the Bible?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. So if you're on YouTube right now, you can search So Chic Chris. That's SOCHIC Chris, CHRIS. And that is my YouTube handle. I have a bunch of videos there for you to listen and learn and just grab some easy styling tips. And then, of course, my website. It's a long title, sophisticatedchicbrand.com. But there you can access the Body Shape Bible, you can access me, you can schedule a style breakthrough session with me, and that's how you'll get started on your styling journey. And of course, all of my social media handles are there. SCB Luxury Styling is my business Instagram, where you'll see a ton of like content of me sharing tips and really just walking you through what having great style can look like for you. So yeah, and hopefully I can drop a link somewhere, or
Yeah.
I'm sure Leslie will send out a link to everybody.
Yes. We will. We will. I will send out the video and email. So if you're on my email list, you will be getting this replay along with the links on how to reach Kristen. But Kristen, we didn't answer one question.
Okay.
And I know if you were in Maryland or the DMV area, you can reach Kristen, but do you do virtual work or are you traveling to meet other clients throughout the world?
Yeah, that's a
Yeah.
good question. So
Yeah.
I started offering virtual styling services during the pandemic 2020. So that was the start of that. So yes, I do offer virtual styling. Most of the experience that you'll be embarking on with me is virtual until we are meeting in person to look through your capsule wardrobe and try things on. Typically, that's just for local clients if you're located in Maryland or the DMV area, but of course, if you don't live in either of those areas, I'd be happy to travel to you. Of course, we will talk about what that looks like. But aside from that, most of it can be done virtually, or if not all virtual. But I do love meeting my clients in person. So a hybrid option is also available too. So,
Okay, we love that. Kristen, we want to thank you for your time today. Thank you for coming on the Blazers and Brilliance podcast. Keep on blazing those trails, girl, because I see you out there. And if you want to work with Kristen, you know how to reach her. And if you want to work with me, you know you can reach me at www.lmgphotography860.com, or you can visit me at www.iamlesliegomez with a Z.com. So we'll see you
yes.
next week. I think we have another guest next week, and we'll talk soon. Bye.
Bye.